Hey everybody! Well, I got Amelia here on the line with us, and we're going to continue our little series about how, we have all of these really smart people in the gym who are experts in many things. And so, what we wanted to do is bring Amelia on, let her tell you a little bit about herself, and then we're also going to have a really interesting conversation about recovery. Recovery is vital to our fitness, and in fact, it is the time when we actually make changes, when the adaptation occurs from the stimulus or the response we're getting from the workout. So all of our gains actually happen in the recovery process, and we wanted to talk a little bit about that process, and we will do that. But first, I want to introduce Amelia, and I think everybody knows Amelia at Roy CrossFit because she infamously has done more workouts than the next most person in our gym by last year. I think it was like 60 or 70 more workouts. Is that right, Amelia?
I don't know. You're the one who's got the back end on Spotify. So
I think that's about it. But tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, your education, and what are you doing now?
yeah, so I'm Amelia, and I am a registered nurse as well as a functional medicine practitioner. And I've been working with athletes for the past 4 years, primarily cyclists. Really finding ways to make these cyclists go faster. And basically it comes down to finding hidden infections. And we find a lot of GI infections in people. And once we clear those up, people, feel and perform a lot better. And I was working with athletes up to about a year ago. And now I'm working, primarily just with women specifically and people who have failed in the traditional medical system. So just getting people healthy and feeling and performing better.
That's awesome. I mean, that seems like it comes with a lot of expertise and a lot of knowledge, and that's why we wanted to glean some of that knowledge a little bit from you today in talking about recovery and the process of recovery and what maybe our athletes should be doing, some things we're not talking about in the gym on a day-to-day basis when we're trying to talk about the mechanics of a thruster and the mechanics of a clean and jerk and a pull-up or a muscle-up. And so tell us a little bit about some of your thoughts initially, just kind of what, some myths about recovery and adaptation, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and I think you said it, you said it really well. And I think that a lot of people are under the misunderstanding that you actually get stronger when you work out. And that's not the case. When you work out, you're working to kind of break yourself down in the sense that, you're breaking muscle tissues. And then what ends up happening is you end up getting stronger, and that adaptation actually takes place when people recover. So in the recovery phase is when you're actually getting stronger. And a lot of people are not taking full advantage of the recovery in order to get that proper adaptation.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, right? Because we have people that work their butts off in the gym, right? They come in here, they come in at 5 a.m. or even they come after a long day's work, and they are busting their butt. They're doing the bacon sizzle on the floor after a super intense WOD. And I think everyone wants to know, how do I take advantage of that hard work, right? Like, how do I get the most out of that work? And I think there's a lot going into the recovery side that can help us out there. So I can think right off the top of my head, probably the first one that comes to my mind and something we've talked about is sleep. How can people take advantage or what kind of sleep and how much sleep, and what should we be doing to improve recovery through sleep, and what happens during sleep when we're recovering?
Yeah, actually, one of the things that actually happens during sleep is it's actually when your hormones actually are synthesized and put through the body. So between the time of 10 p.m. and midnight is actually when the growth hormone is released into the body. So this is from the pituitary gland. And when people don't take advantage of that early night sleep, they're actually missing out on a lot of hormonal benefits that they can get that will assist with the recovery. And, I think that everybody at Roy CrossFit works so hard. They have a full-time job, or they've got, kids at home. And a lot of times it's really hard to take advantage of that sleep, but it's so important in order to get the full recovery. Also, another thing that research has shown is that especially people who are not necessarily looking to get stronger, but maybe fitter or going for the aesthetic side of working out, losing fat, kind of improving body composition, without the proper sleep, you'll actually lose insulin sensitivity. And so more of the food that you eat will be pushed towards fat storage as opposed to utilization of energy.
I've had a personal anecdote with that. I know that when we opened the gym here, first of all, Mason was like a year and a half old and was having his own issues and not sleeping very well. And I was waking up at 5 a.m. and I was still putting in a very good amount of work in the gym. And we were doing body fat tests. And I was like, okay, my diet's been pretty dialed, I've been working hard. And the next thing I know, like, my body fat percentage is going up and my lean mass went down. And I'm just like, what is going on to me? I mean, I knew. They asked me and I was like, well, yeah, my sleep sucks and, I'm not recovering. But I thought one thing that was very interesting that you said is you basically said that 8 hours of sleep from 10 to 6 does not equal 8 hours of sleep from 12 to 8. And I find that pretty fascinating. That's definitely something I didn't necessarily know. But yeah, it makes sense that our bodies are programmed that way. That when the sun starts to go down, we start to wind down and go to sleep, and our body actually makes changes hormonally with the sun going down. And I know that's one other thing that we should think about when we're thinking about sleep is the amount of light we're getting. I know a lot of us sit down at the TV at night and it's a good way to unwind, but that extra light that's coming in from us is messing with some of those signals. Also, when you go to sleep, is making sure that you're in a completely dark room can really make a difference in how you're sleeping, and you may not realize it. But those things, trying to limit the amount of TV and light exposure that way, and sleeping in a really dark room can actually make a difference in what your hormones are doing while you're asleep.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that I like to tell my clients is that a good night's sleep actually starts when you wake up. And one of the things that I really like to mention is that, just like you said, the light coming through our eyes, it actually affects our pineal gland. And our pineal gland in our brain, tells our body to do different things. And one of the things that blue light, first thing early in the morning, can do is it initiates a cortisol response, which it's important to have cortisol high in the morning and then low in the evening. So one of the things that I like people to do, which also improves, so we're talking about that whole recovery thing, is taking a walk first thing in the morning. Taking a 10-minute walk, as the sun is coming up, you get the blue light through your eyes. It's telling your body that it's daytime. And then, you're out walking, you're pushing the nutrients through your body. But then the other thing that happens is, as the day continues, the blue light diminishes and the red light actually increases. And red light actually tells our body that it's nighttime. It will decrease cortisol levels. And when cortisol levels get to a low enough point, that's when melatonin is created. So having cortisol high in the morning, low at night, kind of sets that circadian rhythm. So like I mentioned, a good night's sleep starts first thing in the morning.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating about just the different changes in light and how a morning walk could really set your day for that, and an evening walk as well. And this actually leads into one other concept of recovery that I really like. One thing that CrossFit does really well is this high intensity, short duration, kind of interval-based work that I think is found in nature a lot, and found in sport a lot, and found in play a lot. And we do really well at that. But sometimes we then go from there straight to an office and we sit for 8 hours and do our thing. So one other thing I think that is important when it comes to recovery is moving a lot at a slow pace. I think moving a lot at a slow pace is something if you're just coming to the gym and then just going to sit and then just going home to watch TV, you're missing out on a huge piece of that can actually aid in your recovery. And it's not just what the walking is doing, but it's all the things you're talking about with hormones and your joints moving at that slow pace that make a difference. So tell me, what do you think about that?
No, I think that's absolutely correct. And as you are sitting on your butt in your office, I am standing at my standing desk.
Not fair. I am sitting. Hey, but I get up and down quite a bit as a chiropractor. But so I'm very lucky that way. But many people are not as lucky. But that is something you can do, right? I know a lot of my patients have requested standing desks, and they can sit and they can stand and move from position to position, which would be much more natural of a thing to have happen in a life in a society where we're not kind of forced to work for 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah, and one of the things that you mentioned, that CrossFit does really good is that, that high intensity work. And that, if you look at it on a metabolic level, that is really burning, blood sugar. It's what's called glycolytic work, where that slow pace is more fat-based work. So one of the things that when you look at a metabolism, that high intensity glycolytic work is very, very important. What it does is it reduces the glycogen stores within the liver and then within the muscles as well. And then what ends up happening is your body then needs to take the stores from your fat and then push those stores into the liver glycogen as well as the muscle glycogen. So that's how the fat burning process takes place with that high intensity work. But then that low intensity work is really when you're burning fatty acids, directly. So, getting up and taking a 10-minute, 20-minute walk as the sun's coming up, when you're fasted, you're actually pulling right in from those fat stores. So that's another way that you can get your movement, get your light, and then get some actual fat burning too.
Very cool. Very, very interesting. Fascinating conversation. Tell me, are there is there anything else you'd like, some of our athletes to know about recovery? If we're reviewing, we talked about sleep and how important sleep can be, and making sure that a good night's sleep starts in the morning. And if you can get yourself exposed to that red light in the morning, how awesome that can be for you. And then if you can, also get that red light in the evening as you're coming down, and you're not exposing yourself to the blue light of the TV, and then you're sleeping in a dark room, and all of those things can really help your sleep. The other thing I want my athletes to know at 5 a.m. is you can't trade sleep for exercise and expect to get healthier. It's just not how it works, as much as I love my 5 a.m. But they actually do a pretty good job. I have asked them all, hey, how many of you got to sleep before 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. last night? And most of them do that. They go to sleep fairly early. But those of you that are not, those of you that are just trying to do both, trying to get in that extra hours in the evening and then also come in the morning, you're doing yourself definitely a disservice for all the work you're putting in. So sleep. The other thing we talked about was moving a lot at a slow pace and how that can help. What else could you think they would need?
I think that you did a previous video with Danny and Van that nutrition is another big part of recovery. If you're not getting the proper nutrition, if you're not getting the proper nutrients, then you're doing yourself a disservice. So, and then not falling into fad kind of nutritional ideas. Eating whole foods, I think, is super important. So.
Yes, Whole Foods will never be a fad. That's how we became a smart species, is by eating whole foods and always eating and just living off of those. So that will never be a fad. So yes, I think you're right about that, and not falling into those traps, and definitely nutrition. I mean, go back and listen to some of the things that we talked about, and that is a big part of recovery. Is what are you eating, and how that is also responding, making your whole hormones respond, which I think we've talked a fair amount today, which is very interesting. We should probably do a whole, maybe we'll do a whole episode sometime just about the different ways that what we do affects our hormones and how our body signals, because this has kind of been a theme for both of our first two episodes here, was what are we doing to affect our body signals that are affecting our outcomes, our fitness outcomes, and our healthy lifestyle outcomes. And so I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, and like you said, everything that you do, everything that you eat, it gives your body information. So making sure that you're giving your body the right information for the outcomes that you're looking for. So yeah. But yeah, we went over all of it, and I think one of the biggest things to kind of take out of this is that you don't get stronger when you're working out. You get stronger when you're recovering.
Yes. So take advantage of all that hard work you're putting in by using some of these tips. Get good sleep, move a lot at a slow pace, eat well, and you will find yourself getting healthier, stronger, faster, all of those things, and that's what it's about. That's why we come in every day and put in the work. So Amelia, thank you so much for your expertise and for sharing it with our community. We appreciate you and all that you do at the gym, and just your example of hard work and dedication to yourself.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for what you do and what you've created. So
thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.